We rolling? Let's do it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Alliance Group podcast. And we have two special guests with us for this episode. We have Miss Emily White and we have Miss Lori Morton from our great friends at Government Personnel Mutual, otherwise known as GPM. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So very exciting stuff happening at GPM. We're going to cover a lot during this episode. But this is a company that has been around for 90 years, has some really amazing products, some really amazing people, very strong financially. But there is feels like there's like some new blood coming in, a new day dawning possibly at GPM, Lori?
Absolutely. It's a new era there.
A new era at GPM. So, Emily, you're actually part of this new era. You were hired. How long have you been with GPM now?
Well, I've been around GPM for a long time.
Right.
But I started officially at GPM at the end of May this year.
So you are the new VP of Operations, newish VP of Operations there at GPM. And Emily, I think this is really important for our viewers to understand, and agents that might be with Alliance Group, is you kind of made a reference to it there. You've been working with GPM for a very long time, although with another IMO over at Equus, right?
Equus Financial, yes.
So you tell me about kind of your experience working with GPM at Equus and what led you to accept a position with GPM and what you're kind of looking forward to as part of that.
Well, I mean, to your point, it was pretty organic. And I wouldn't have just gone to work for any carrier. Being on the IMO side, let's see, I still feel new to the industry sometimes because I was with Equus for almost 9 years.
Right.
And a unique perspective bringing to GPM, obviously. So I really get the needs of the agents and the clients. But yeah, the relationship, one of the things that we've talked about a lot is I feel like this is a relationship business. And our relationship with GPM as a carrier was super strong. Yeah. And that's what made it a very organic transition.
Thanks to people like Lori.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So it's, I think that's something that actually might excite a lot of our agents is that with you and John Barlo, the addition of John Barlo, who's also coming over from Equus, he's brand new. What we're seeing at GPM is, and what I'm excited about is people that are coming into leadership positions that have been on the other side of the fence, the side of the fence that we all live on now, which is the people who are working, the agents who are working with GPM as a carrier. So you guys, you referred to a unique perspective. You've worked with GPM. You've seen all the things that they're really good at. You've also had the opportunity to see some of the things that might be able to be improved a little bit. And so having you guys in there, I think, is going to be really great for GPM and for agents working with GPM going forward.
Yeah, we're super excited about it.
So, Lori, from your perspective, you've been with GPM for how many years now?
8 years.
8 years, and you've done such an amazing job. I know that you worked very closely with Jay Moyer,
I did.
Who has recently retired, and that's kind of part of this kind of changing of the guard sort of feel. Lori, you've actually been at GPM for a while now. How long have you been at GPM?
8 wonderful years.
8 years. And I know that you worked very closely with Jay Moyer, who a lot of our viewers are very familiar with. Obviously, worked with him for a very long time. Jay recently retiring, and so that is part of this kind of feel that's going on at GPM going into 2025 of this kind of new guard, new era, fresh faces sort of deal. What is it that excites you about people like Emily and John coming in to GPM?
Honestly, the skill sets that Emily and John bring to GPM Life in the past, I feel like they just bring things that we need to prioritize, and they have a proven track record of success in those areas. And so it's going to make the future of GPM so bright. Right. I'm really looking forward to it.
We're really excited about that as well. So Emily, some of the obviously very good things about GPM, fantastic company. They've been doing very well for a reason. But some of the things that you're kind of prioritizing as you come in, as we were talking before this podcast, you mentioned one of the big things you're looking at is technology. And you kind of described coming into a company that's 90 years old, a large company that's been operating a certain way for so long. When you come into a new position, especially something like technology, if you go to start solving problems, you had a really great analogy that I think...
It wasn't mine. I'm not going to take credit for it.
I think you borrowed it from Peter Fore, maybe.
Yes.
It's like trying to take one hanger out of a bag of hangers.
Yes.
And when you try to pull it out,
yes,
there's a lot of things attached to it, right?
Yeah.
So talk about the challenges with technology. Talk about where you want to be with technology as opposed to where GPM is right now.
Well, I mean, I think that we're in the beginning process of just kind of a total rebuild. Mm-hmm. And I think it's probably been a hot minute. Maybe, I don't know, you might be able to speak to it better, but probably a good 10, 15, 20 years since they've really, been looking at technology as a whole and how it affects everything. And,
right.
So we're very committed to a complete overhaul.
Yep.
And 2025 is going to be an assessment year, but I'm committed to some big wins for agents and clients for 2025. So, we're looking at Agent Portal, we're looking at Client Portal, and it may be an MVP product to start, but we've got to stay competitive and we've got to be able to serve.
Minimum viable product. She's speaking executive talk right here. So kind of like making movement, and the thing I really appreciate about this conversation is that being honest about here are some shortcomings that we know exist at GPM, but the thing that I think a lot of the people watching right now are so heartened by is that we are seeing these fresh faces, these younger people coming in with these skill sets that can start to tackle that bag of hangers and take measurable, definitive steps toward where we want to be. And we know that we've seen our other carriers as well struggle with technology. It is not a small thing. It isn't just, let's just change the code and boom, it's done. There are layers and layers and things that are built upon. So it is a large task, but it's really awesome to hear that you are taking it so seriously going forward. Lori, tell us about your newest hire, John Barlo. So worked actually with Emily for a very long time
5 years
at Equus.
Yeah.
He's now been hired just very recently, like a week and a half ago. We told him he was too new to be on the podcast. But tell me about John coming in as business development and distribution manager at GPM and where you see him affecting things as he comes in.
Well, John is fantastic. He and I I kind of have come to think of him like sort of like yin and yang. Mm-hmm. I'm more of the operations side, and he definitely has a skill set for, like you said, business development, sales, distribution.
He's a real people person.
Absolutely.
We got to have dinner with him last night. You can definitely tell he's got interpersonal skills.
Yes, and he's very good at reaching out and either creating relationships or just really. I can't think of the right word, but massaging existing relationships and just moving forward in a positive direction, which is, at GPM, we've definitely been through a transition, and I think that there's a need for that right now, and he's absolutely going to fill that, and the cup is going to overflow because he's fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really great to get to know him last night, and it's going to be great, I think, for agents going forward to have that clear face of GPM. I'm the guy that you reach out to if you have any questions. Obviously sales desk is still going to be there. We have people behind the scenes that can help you, but I think every carrier, every agent needs that point of contact that they feel confident, like this person's job is to help me when I reach out to them, to be available, to direct traffic, to say, oh, that's a question for the sales desk. Let me get you that number, or that's a question for this person in contracting or licensing or whatever. And I think it's going to be really good for there to be that very clear guy that has the interpersonal skills, that's such a good people person, and all of the sales experience that John has. I think he actually he gave me his pitch. He worked in the field as an agent, and he sold a lot of mortgage protection. And he actually gave me like his pitch basically at dinner last night, and I was like, whoa, I can see how that worked. That was very effective. So we're really looking forward to John. We're going to be shooting some content here in Stratton Studios today to kind of introduce our agent force to John. So that's going to be great. Another big thing that's happening at GPM that again is lending itself to this new era, changing of the guard sort of deal, is Peter Hennessey IV has been recently has entered that president role at GPM, correct? So
January.
Peter III still there, still very much overseeing everything. Everything still has his hand in everything, but seeing IV move up and kind of officially take that position, what does that do for you guys at GPM as staff that are working there?
Well, I definitely think that there's a different level of momentum. And, my point of reference inside GPM is small, but we just got back from our long-range planning session in Horseshoe Bay. Beginning of November, we set forth, goal setting for 25, 26. I mean, we didn't quite get to 2035, but we did a lot. A lot of goal setting, and there's just a level of momentum. And, one of the things that Peter Force said in his welcome address was, we've got to learn to fail fast and pivot. And that I say all the time that pivot's my middle name because
you've already said that this morning before.
I mean, but it's true because when you're in operations, I have to prepare for the worst all the time, but you've got to have contingencies and you have to be able to pivot. And I love that attitude of we have to learn to fail fast.
Absolutely. You can't be scared to take a step in the wrong direction.
You got to take the risk and
take the risk, fail, learn, go.
And so that momentum, I see that. I think that's exactly where we're going to be in 25 and going forward. It's just, I'm so excited.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's see. We've answered a lot of these questions here. Let's actually get back to what is the secret sauce that has made GPM so popular with agents over the years. What is it, Lori, that you think is that kind of unique characteristic that GPM has that makes agents like to do business with you guys down there in San Antonio?
Well, this is a relationship business, and I think GPM, the size company we are, that we're able to create those relationships, and you're not just calling in and getting whomever answers the phone.
Right.
You're going to be able, you're going to know it's going to be this person or this person.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we also, we create quality products. They're niche. I think, something that we need to do better on is servicing those products, and that happens through technology, which is, one of Emily's fortes. And so I think it's just going to build on a strong foundation.
I think that something that our agents really feel from GPM is it's almost like a mom and pop sort of deal where it's it feels like a local business that you want to support because those people and that they need your business, right? It's not that, okay, well, if we don't treat you right, whatever, we've got, 15 people waiting outside the door to buy this. They care about the relationship. You want to support them. And I think that kind of feel is something that you don't have with a lot of these gigantic companies that are, doing billions and billions of dollars of business. And I think that is something that is special about GPM. They are growing. I know that you guys want to grow the business, but that is something that is unique, that kind of hometown feel about GPM.
Yeah.
Not to mention the amazing history that you guys have there. We talked about products and how the products have always been great at GPM. We love living benefits at Alliance Group. Our agents do as well. Yeah. And we definitely have those products at GPM. So tell us a little bit. We do have some changes coming to some products, some improvements coming to some products. Give us a quick little overview of what some of those changes are.
Well, so I think probably the most important one to the agents is that up until recently, our non-medical limit on Alliance Term and Alliance UL has been lower than we would like. And that's we started with Alliance Term. We've doubled our non-medical limit up to $500,000.
That's awesome.
Absolutely, and I think and the UL is going to get that treatment as well. It just there's more bells and whistles there, so it takes a little bit longer with UL. But I think it's also important to note that sometimes when you think of non-med, your policyholders feel like they might have to settle for the standard rate. But that's not the case. We're also adding we've added a preferred rate to Alliance Term. So we're a non-medical preferred rate. So right. I think those are the two things that we want to shout from the rooftop is it enhances the product astronomically.
Right.
So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we've. I think we're going to have some webinars and things that kind of roll these out, these improvements to make sure that everybody's aware of them. So Alliance agents, you guys stay tuned for those details. But GPM, it's great to know that those great products you guys are working to improve. You're working to make doing business easier with GPM. So that's fantastic. And as we're kind of wrapping up here a little bit. I'll give you guys an opportunity to just what would your message to agents be looking back on 2024, heading into 2025 with all these changes going on at GPM, Emily? What would your message be to the Alliance agents sales force regarding GPM and what to expect from you guys over the next 6 months to a year to 5 years?
Well, I definitely think that as far as expectations, and I always want to be transparent with the field, that this is where we are, and we're rebuilding. There's going to be transitioning, but it's good stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as we're transparent, you guys know where we're at and what we're trying to accomplish. And also, we've talked a lot, even since John just came on board, having better focus groups. And I know that's a thing that GPM used to do, and I don't know, we probably got away from it during COVID. But having focus groups so that we have that feedback loop that is so important.
It is so important.
And I think the other thing that I would say, why, if someone asks me why GPM, and I came from a situation where, and it's nobody's a stranger to it these days, mergers and acquisitions. And the great thing about GPM is that it's a very financially sound mutual company. It's, the policyholders own that company, so we're not going to be selling. Absolutely.
That is.
And I love that.
There's a lot of that going on in the industry these days. And I think, as somebody from Alliance Group who has been one of the few IMOs that has not caved to being bought or purchased or acquired, it is nice to be doing business with carriers that you can know are not going to go down that road either. And that the people that you're doing business with now are in those seats for the right reasons, pulling towards the same goals. And not being controlled by some suits, some empty suits in a conference room somewhere, right? So that is absolutely fantastic. And Lori, I'll give you the same opportunity. Just heading into 2025, what is your message to our agents out there?
I just think it's super exciting for me inside the walls of GPM Life, and then hopefully it is to people outside as well, to understand that in a way we've never been in the past, we're poised and prioritizing things like technology change and better relationships with the sales force, so that, again, not to be redundant, but so that the service level to not just agents but policyholders, new agents, onboarding them, can match the quality of product we put out and the heart that's there. The service, needs to be improved upon as well. And we're in a position we haven't been in the past. And I think it's really exciting.
Well, the first step at improvement is making changes. And we can see that GPM has already done that with the addition of Emily, with the addition of John Barlo, also with Peter moving into the president's role. All of this portends some very good stuff coming down the pipe from GPM, in addition to all the awesomeness that they're already doing. So, Emily, it's awesome to have you on board. Welcome to the Alliance Group team.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
We're excited to shoot some more content with you guys to help our agents get to know more about GPM and what's going on there. So you guys stay tuned. And Emily, Lori, thank you so much for joining us for the Alliance Group podcast.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Listen to this interview and more on the Alliance Group podcast.